The LEGO Diagon Alley is retiring at the end of this year, and to replace it, LEGO has just announced that it is releasing Hogsmeade, which is a charming village in the Harry Potter world. Now, this set will cost $400 and contain just under 30,300 pieces. Is this the set that is a worthy replacement to Diagon Alley? Does it have the same charm? Does it have the same minifig quality, the building techniques, all of that stuff to be on the shelves for 5 years, just like Diagon Alley? I think that's a really interesting question, and one that we're going to answer in this breakdown today. Let's give just a quick factual background of the two sets. Diagon Alley was released in 2020. It contains 5,500 pieces and 17 minifigs, for which you will pay $450. This set comes with 6 different establishments in Diagon Alley across 4 16 by 32 base plates. That means it is about 128, not about, but exactly 128 studs across if you were to array them in one line. If you want to see how well this set has been received by the LEGO community, you can head over to brickset.com and you will see that its average rating is a 4.5 out of 5, which is a very, very high rating and puts it in the top echelon of sets. Hogsmeade is 3 base plates, which adds up to 96 studs across. It has 3,288 pieces and will retail for $400. It has 12 minifigs and does include 7 establishments in its array, which is kind of interesting. That has slightly more establishments than Diagon Alley, but fewer base plates and fewer pieces. If you're doing the math on how many pieces per base plate we're dealing with, for Diagon Alley, it comes out at just under 1,400 pieces per base plate, and for Hogsmeade, it comes down to just under 1,100 pieces per base plate. More on that in this upcoming section. I think one of the biggest questions about this set and Hogsmeade is, does it have the same level of detail and building techniques that we see in Diagon Alley? I think there are some pros and cons here with Hogsmeade. So with Hogsmeade, you're going to have some details that Diagon Alley doesn't have. For instance, the snow interspersed throughout the roofs and on the street, which actually I think adds to the versatility of Hogsmeade. For Diagon Alley, you do have the ability to, and maybe the detail of the facades, to put it into some sort of a modular city, but with the dollhouse style open back nature of the set, it's not something that can just readily fit into a modular city if you're trying to be consistent with your buildings. For Hogsmeade, the same problem exists with the open backs, but with the snow-covered roofs and the streets, you can easily put it into a winter village set without having to supplement the set in any way, shape, or form. Now, I think one of the key distinctions of it I'm seeing right now in the images of Hogsmeade is the lack of complex building techniques. And if you look at Diagon Alley, you look at Borgin & Burke's, you look at the Quality Quidditch Supplies, there's some fascinating building techniques in those parts of the set build, including the areas around the windows for Borgin & Burke's and the front window displays for Quality Quidditch Supplies, where the windows are actually built at an angle leaning into the street. When I look at Hogsmeade, I do notice that there's a lack of some of those exterior features that use some more complex building techniques, with one exception that I'll get to in just a moment. There are some nice spots, like I do like how they stagger some of the windows in the 3 broomsticks. I also think that they do a very nice job at Honeydukes on the second level using some snot work and to get the window there just right. But the highlight, I think, of Diagon Alley, of Hogsmeade, is that they use different building techniques for each of the roofs. Some of the roofs are angled forward and from the street leaning back. Others are profiled from the side. And each of those roofs built differently is, I think, quite a testament to what the set designer was trying to accomplish here. If you are a fan of the Winter Village sets, you know that one of the most difficult things in those sets to put together are the roofs, that you want to have a unique building experience each year when a building comes out in the Winter Village set. In the theme, this set right here is dealing with multiple roofs all in one set, and if you have the same technique used, the building becomes repetitive. So improving the roofs and making them different across each of the buildings is a great way to enhance the building experience. And I would say that is clearly the strength of Hogsmeade when it comes to the building techniques. There are some fascinating angles that are used there. If you look at the 3 broomsticks, you will notice that they not only have the large roof, but they incorporate windows into it, and they incorporate it in a way that allows you to continue fielding interior details in that set on the different levels, which I think is a very, very nice touch to that. There's another important consideration here. I mentioned earlier that if you look at the number of pieces on average per base plate for these 2 sets, 1,400 for Diagon Alley, 1,100 for Hogsmeade. Where you'll see the difference catch up with you in Hogsmeade, and I think puts it maybe a little bit below Diagon Alley in terms of those details, is not only is it a 300 piece difference, but Hogsmeade has more establishments per base plate. If you have 7 establishments across 3 base plates, you have to differentiate the facades a little bit in order to clearly define the establishment. And that requires you to use different pieces. It requires you to change things up, whether it's a little roof section, whether it's the front window or the door or whatever it might be. That adds pieces to the count. So when you look at the piece discrepancy per base plate, I think the number of establishments for Hogsmeade waters down some of those facade details that you might have seen in the Diagon Alley or a set in Hogsmeade that had more pieces that were dedicated towards some of those facades. All told, though, it is interesting to see that there are, like in Diagon Alley, some establishments that have lots of details. You can take a look at Honeydukes, where you've got more of a tiled floor, plenty of details on the interior, and you see the same thing with the 3 broomsticks, lots of details throughout the different levels, and even Zonko's, you get a lot more details. But other of the establishments, like Owl Post, is fairly empty. I do like that Hogshead does have some details there, especially as it relates to Dumbledore's army. On the 2nd level, you've got a picture there of Hermione that's got the list of people that have signed up for Dumbledore's army. But I'm not sure it's the same level of detail that you see on the interior of Diagon Alley, which has a lot of detail in Ollivanders, has a ton of detail in Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, as well as Borgin and Burke's. They're just rotating staircases, there's lots of tiling work, there's lots of things on the shelves. This one doesn't quite seem to match up there. So what's that piece discrepancy per base plate coming in? A little bit with the facade, perhaps a little bit with the interior detailing. So that leads me to think that this doesn't quite have those same details that a lot of fans appreciated about Diagon Alley. Another important component to the detailing, of course, is the number of stickers. And one thing that was frustrating about Diagon Alley was not just the sheer number of stickers, but that you did have to place quite a few stickers over rounded pieces, especially with Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. This is also a problem in the Gringotts Bank set, which is the same scale as both Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade, as the press release was so importantly pointing out to us. This one does the same thing, and I am kind of frustrated by not just the amount of stickers. I'm okay kind of with stickers. I understand why fans don't like them, but what really bothers me is when you have to place them over rounded pieces. It's very difficult to put those on, and there's a lot that can go wrong in applying the stickers. And if you get them crooked and you have to take them off, then you have creases in the stickers. And we see this, like, just look at Honeydukes. You will notice there are quite a few stickers that are placed over rounded pieces that are problematic. Now on Diagon Alley, there's some fantastic printed elements as well, and I'm hoping to see that for some of the pieces here in Hogsmeade, although I think there are only a few printed pieces, maybe some of the 2x2 tiles that have posters on them that are more commonly, or could be commonly found in Harry Potter sets. Let's talk about minifigs, and this is, I think, if you're a collector of Harry Potter sets, if you're a fan, even a casual Lego fan, and you like Harry Potter, and you're looking to get the set to really round out your minifig collection, I think it's a little bit hit and miss. I do understand why you've got another Harry, a Ron, and Hermione in this set. I think that's something that just is going to be in any of the big sets that you get for Harry Potter because they are the main characters. Beyond that, I think there's some really good characters included, and then some that I'm just not a big fan of how they execute the minifig. So what do I mean by that? Well, I like that you are getting Katie Bell. I think it's really important that you're getting some of the later stage Harry Potter sets. So this clearly is coming from book 6 or the movie 6 that is going to have Draco giving the cursed necklace to Katie Bell, and she's got a windswept hairpiece that signifies that, you know, she's maybe under some sort of a curse. And I think that's a great inclusion. If you look at McGonagall, this is a good example of good inclusion as a minifig, but then poor execution. McGonagall does have all of what the creases and some of the bends printed on her torso, but that printing does not continue onto her dress piece, which is a problem. If you look at, for instance, Mrs. Flume, that is a really nice minifig where you've got the printing on the torso that continues down onto the legs. There's a lack of that detail carried through on some of these minifigs that I think would be important to include in this set. Another example of this would be the shopkeeper at Zonko's. I know it's not the owner and proprietor of the store, but they include a worker at that shop, and she also could use some printing on her legs or her dress piece. You've got that wonderful printing on the torso with the dark red, and you've got just that pattern that pops, and it should continue down to the dress. For the other minifigs, I understand why, you know, if they're wearing, you know, just khaki pants or jeans or a suit, like with Cornelius Fudge, that's fine. I don't have a problem with the lack of leg printing on that, but I think a couple more minifig details would work. Another positive example for this set is Aberforth, who does have some leg printing on him. So I think they did a really nice job executing basically 3 of the 12 minifigs, and the others are mediocre. And that seems to be par for the course for LEGO and a lot of the expensive 18+ sets. But I will point out, I think there were some excellent minifigs in creator sets this year that were much cheaper, like the Castle and even the Haunted Mansion. So very puzzling to me that you're giving creator minifigs more details than you are some of these 18+ ultimate collector edition type sets. Of course, another key component to compare across these Harry Potter collector edition sets is the price. And Diagon Alley, 5,500 pieces, 17 minifigs, $450. Hogsmeade, 3,288 pieces, 12 minifigs, $400. That's a $50 difference for over 2,000 pieces and 5 minifigs. Yeah, that is, you know, again, maybe reflecting some of the tariffs that are being enforced right now in the United States. But that is definitely a shock to the system in terms of what you would expect to pay for a set of this size versus what you're actually going to pay for it. I could maybe see $350. I think that's still a little bit steep, but you go all the way up to $400 on that price threshold, and that is quite a steep increase from, I think, what this set is really worth in 2025. That discrepancy is why I would probably say, if you are looking at getting one of these 2 sets and you have the cash or you have most of the cash, hands down, go Diagon Alley. If you don't have Diagon Alley and you're looking to spend $400 on a Lego set, save up another $50, go get Diagon Alley. Do not spend it on Hogsmeade at this moment in time. If you already have Diagon Alley, you're looking to complete, that's fine, I get it. I'm torn as to whether or not we're gonna get this. I like Hogsmeade. I like some of the details that they have on the snow. I like some of the colors of the buildings. I like, you know, the Harry Potter world. I think it's interesting. Our kids really enjoy building Diagon Alley, playing with it, and Gringotts. I think it's a great way to kind of add to that. Even if they don't go next to each other in the actual world, it would be interesting to put them next to each other in a play context for the kids. But honestly, that price is pretty steep, and it has me rethinking what we're going to be doing for our buying strategy in September. Now, I will note, I don't think LEGO has announced it at the time I'm recording this video, but there are rumors that there are going to be up to 3 gifts with purchase available in connection with this set alone come September, and that is the Room of Requirement is going to be a gift with purchase. That's probably the main one. There's a poly bag rumored that we're getting as a gift with purchase for, I think it's a $40 spend. The Room of Requirement is a $130 spend, but that's on anything Harry Potter. And then there's a metal Hogsmeade sign that you would get with this set that's exclusive as a gift with purchase for Hogsmeade itself. So if you were interested in picking this up, LEGO is trying to give you some incentive in that early release window with some of these gift with purchase, unless you are looking at getting some other Harry Potter sets that would satisfy the threshold for those other gifts with purchase. So there is that possibility to consider as well, although I haven't seen images of those at the moment that I am recording this video. So all told, this is a set that I'm kind of struggling with. I like the concept. I like the look of the set. I think it lacks some of the building technique details that we see with the Diagon Alley. I think there are some really interesting building techniques with the roofs, but not so much the facades for the buildings themselves. I think there might be some sacrifices made on the interiors of the set compared to Diagon Alley as well. So does this really match up as a worthy replacement for Diagon Alley? I am skeptical on that. I don't think it's quite the same level, such that I would personally, just looking at these images of Hogsmeade and owning Diagon Alley, recommend getting Diagon Alley if you don't have it and you're looking to go into a large Harry Potter set at this point in time, especially given that Diagon Alley is retiring in December. And that's if you can find copies of that in your stores, or you might have to go online to find that one. But $400, I think, welcome to the new world of Lego, and it's not one that a lot of fans appreciate, which honestly doesn't surprise me. I think fans are right to be upset on this one, but that's maybe another video. Are you interested in picking this up? Do you see any complex building techniques that I am missing? Put that down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and always remember to keep building together.